Okay. So today we're going to be factoring just like we did yesterday, except for now we're also going to solve on top of it. Which if you remember before when we were factoring when a equals 1, nothing really changed, right? The only thing is different, you get one extra step. So here we go. If you're asked to factor and solve, what do we have to get a set equal to? 0. So in this case here, we got to get this set equal to 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 7u over. Now this is, I wrote down this problem exactly like this for this reason. When you bring over that 7u, it goes right there. Why do I put it right there and not just on the end? Because it's in standard form. Squared u constant. And it's also in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, which is what we're after. Because there's nothing left over. We brought this and put it over there. Well, look, Sam. We're going to solve for u to make sure u makes it so we can equal 0. Yeah.
So 7u is positive and it makes it sign, and why is it negative?
Because we have to subtract it to bring it over to the other side. Good question.
I'm on it today.
Okay. So, right now, as soon as you get a set equal to 0 and get it in the right form, now what you're going to do is you're actually going to factor it just like we did yesterday. So I'm going to walk through this one really slow just to see where we get to. So right now we're going to ignore the equal 0. Okay, we're not going to bring that in play until we get all the way down to our FOIL parentheses. I'll carry it with us, but it won't come into play until we get to our FOIL parentheses, which is a few steps away. So the first step is we're going to multiply A and C together, and we're going to get negative 18. Then we have to think of two numbers that multiply together to be negative 18 and add together to be negative 7. So I'm just going to give you the two numbers. Remember, you can test as many as you want to, but I'm just going to give them to you. Go here.
I'm on it.
Okay?
Wait, is that a U or is that a B?
U. They're both U's. Now look at this. Where we have negative 9 and 2 as our two new numbers, we replace our middle number with our two new numbers. Now the question is going to come up. Doesn't matter which way we put those two. Can I have plus 2u and then minus 9u? Yes. It doesn't change it, right? It's just you're gonna get the exact same answer in the end. Okay. At this point, we have four terms. The equal 0 is still not there. We have four terms, so we're going to split it. And we're going to factor out of each binomial. Out of the first one, we can factor a 3 and a u, which leaves us u minus 3 left over. Out of the second one, I can factor a 2, which leaves us u minus 3. And now we're there. Remember, this is just factor by grouping at this point. So then we're going to take what's on the outside of the parentheses, 3u plus 2, and one of the parentheses, and set it equal to 0.
You get it wrong because it's not equal to 0.
Well, yeah. You'll be factoring something wrong. Okay. At this point, we're down to our full parentheses. We're going to take the first parenthesis and set it equal to 0, and the second parenthesis and set it equal to 0. And then you're going to solve both. This one we're going to subtract 2 and then divide by 3. So u is going to equal negative 2/3. And this one over here we're just going to add 3. So u equals 3. And there's your two answers. Questions so far? So this is just one step further than what we did yesterday, right? Yesterday we did up to right here. Now we're just solving, setting both parentheses equal to 0, and we're solving. So, yep.
The other problems we were doing yesterday, there wasn't an equal 0,
Nope.
but like, was there one that we just did, right?
No. It'll have an equal sign if it wants you to solve. You'll see an equal sign. Those ones yesterday didn't have equal signs. So if they don't have equal sign, it just wants you to take it to the FOIL parentheses. If it has an equal sign, you need to get it set equal to 0 and take it all the way. Okay, this one right here, there's a few on your homework that I got saved that I wanted to show you. This is one of the big ones right here. Now, our first goal is to get it set equal to what? We have to. I'm going to show you why I do this, and then I'm going to teach you the other way how to do it I'm going to show you how I do this, and then I'm going to teach you the other way just to show you kind of that you end up with the exact same answer. I never want my squared to be a negative. You said agree? I never want my squared to be a negative.
So you just add the other one?
So what you do is you're going to add 9b to this side and add 4 over to this side. So you get 5b squared plus 9b plus 4 equals 0. Now you may ask yourself, well, what would be the big deal of having the b squared a negative? I'm going to show you in a second. Okay? At this point, we multiply a and c together to get 20. We need two numbers that multiply together to be positive 20 and add together to be 9. Good. Look at this. 5b squared plus 5b plus 4b plus 4 equals 0. And I'm just going to knock out the rest of this till we get down to our FOIL parentheses so we can get there quicker. So you get your two set of parentheses, 5b plus 4 and b plus 1. All right? After that, you set each parenthesis equal to 0. You're going to have b equals negative 4/5 as one answer. And b equals negative 1 as the other. Questions on how to solve them? I'm not going to spend any more time on how to solve them. It's just factoring and then you just set them both equal to 0. Any questions on that? Okay, we need to look at one when your b squared is negative. And this is important because you will be presented problems occasionally. In fact, the last ACT test I saw that I did, it had a problem that had this squared as a negative. So, for that logic alone, when the math test only has 45 questions, and one of them is this, we're going to learn how to do it.
What were the answers on that last one?
Negative 4/5 or 4/5 and negative 1, is that what they were?
Yeah.
4/5 and negative 1. Here we go. I hate, there's very few things in math that I don't like. And I don't like when the squared's negative. You'll start to find out as you get farther and farther, especially into Math 3, when that squared's a negative. Right now, honestly, it's an easy fix. As you get farther and farther along in math, when that squared or that cube, the leading term is negative, it creates issues. And you have to really you have to kind of trick the problem in order to get it out of it. Now, this is an extremely easy fix. So we're just going to factor this. I'm not even going to solve it. Okay? There's no equal sign, so we're just going to factor it. We have to get rid of the squared the negative on the squared before we can even start to factor it. So what we're going to do is we're going to factor out a negative. So we're going to bring out a negative from the very get-go, which leaves us 3x squared. If I bring out a negative, what do you think it does to these other signs? It's going to change them. So we bring out a negative, and it changes the signs inside of it. The negative 3x squared becomes positive 3x squared. 19x becomes negative 19x. And 14 becomes negative 14. Okay, once we factor something out, what do we do with that? It just catches a ride, right? Because now we're just going to forget about what we factored out, and there's our problem we're going to solve. So everyone go through. I'm going to give you 2.5 minutes. I want you to solve that problem right there. Go. Yep.
Quick question. What two numbers multiply to each other 42 and right quick. 2 and 2. 21. 21 and 2.
Close.
Negative 21 and 2. There you go.
Hey, Mrs. Titus is staying here.
She's not putting anyone.
I don't know. I just heard she was done, and I just already got an email that says she's staying. So.
Don't you like science?
I'm here. She's there. That's science and intellect. Not really. She's a lot smarter than I am.
No. But once, didn't you do science? Like, weren't you good at
I actually wish I could still teach, but I wish I taught biology still. I can. My major's in biology. My major's not in math. My technical minor's in math.
Wait, so you know more about math now.
Not more than biology. I know a crap ton about biology. I graduated with a biology degree from SU with a 3.9 GPA, dude.
I have like a 3.5. That's only my GPA.
I love biology.
I can't be with my heart.
How are you, Lori?
I'm not too bad. How about you?
You want to factor today? I don't want to do it anymore. And do you want to do it with them today? Teach them how to do
I
these?
think I could teach him much.
Well, I don't want to teach them anymore. We're about done. Sure. 7? I mean, a 3?
Oh, son of a...
A 3?
I didn't want to do this.
Thank you, God.
I'll show you. We'll get there. Okay, here we go. I told you I'd give you 2.5, and it's been 2.5. Negative 42. Two numbers that, wow, that's actually nice. I may start making a T. You see that? Think about this. Look, this is where our correct answer will go. This is our testing area. So let's just say we went like
This is
6 and 7.
21 and 2.
No, that's the answer.
Wait.
3 goes into it, 14 and 3. 42 and 1. And then you're like 21 and 2. Negative 21 and 2.
For no
Go!
reason at all. Like you then circle it and then you can write it.
I don't know.
This is groundbreaking. This is so efficient.
3x squared minus 21x plus 2x minus 14 equals 0.
Why do you have to circle it?
I don't know.
That's what I said.
Oh my gosh, I feel stupid.
Like you have to draw it
Hey,
in the box
Matt.
and then write it again.
Daxton, shut up.
My bad.
Okay, So we go through, we're factoring it down, we're over to there. The negative one just out there on the front. What we're doing is we're factoring inside. We put together what's on the outside of the parentheses. And one of the parentheses, and there's your answer. Remember, the negative one stays out front.
I forgot it.
No, so look, this one's a little bit hard because if you set it equal to 0, hey, just so you guys can see this, because you may come across a problem like this, don't write this down, because this gets into math 3 a little bit. If we set this equal to 0, we then would actually have negative 1 equals 0, 3x plus 2 equals 0, and x minus 7 equals 0. So that one's impossible, right? So the other one's equal 0, and there would be your answers, but that's getting it farther into math 3. Jackson. I didn't have an equal sign. I just added this just barely. Because you could have. So, look, this is what I would have done right here. Look, this, because there's no equal sign, so you have to factor it out. You can't move it over to the other side of the equal sign if there's no equal sign.
What if you put it?
Can't make imaginary equal signs.
You can though. You just-
Hey, but he brought up a really good point right there. If I had a problem that looked like this, I would immediately, if my problem looked like that, I would move everything
over
to the other side of the equal sign. I would move everything so it looked like that.
Wait, can you do it if it's negative?
It's a nightmare.
But you can.
It's a nightmare.
But you can.
Yes. Allie.
What if they all factor something without one?
Like,
Good question. So she's saying, what about if you could factor out something that like if you had something that looked like this? So if we had like negative 2x squared plus 24x minus
12. 48.
16 equals 0. You see that like that? Or not with equals 0. But if you had that, and you just factor out a negative 2, which will leave x squared minus 12x plus 8. So you can still factor out a number even if it's not in 1. You just got to get the negative out of there so that this is a positive. Okay, today you're going to have, now listen very closely to this because I don't want to hear it today. You're going to have 8 problems. 5 of them do not have equal signs, meaning you're just going to factor them. 3 of them have equal signs, which means you're going to factor them and then solve.
Did you know Queen Lover does 3 like this? That bothers me so much. What is something 3 like?